Welcome back to this week's episode of FOverwatch, where we break down college game day matchups. Today we have Penn State versus Georgetown, two gentlemen I've personally coached, so I have an affinity for this game. This is brought to you by the Faceoff Academy. Check us out at thefaceoffacademy.com, the gold standard of face-off training for the past 15 years. Let's get into this first draw. All right, so first draw here. Guys are lining up. Always interesting to see the guys like pre-prep before the whistle. So big heavy kickback here off the whistle. Blue goes for that reverse shovel. And we're going to watch this back here. Reviewing this clip in slow-mo now. What you'll notice is blue and white both kick their feet back off the whistle, which we don't want to see. But blue is dominating the column, so he's got first rights on visualization of the ball. He sees that he's not going to have enough. So he kicks his feet back underneath him, which gives him the opportunity to go what we call a reverse shovel here. But the mistake he makes is he hits his opponent's wrist, and instead of dragging him using the ground as his friend, he lifts up. Lifting up lets him slide off his opponent's hand, which gives White the opportunity to throw the ball behind him. Basically just a tip-off here for White because he threw the ball so high in the air. Face-off number 2 coming up here. All right, so this is hallmarks of the Chase Mullins game. He is going to go heavy top rail every single time. He wants that top rail flat on the ground every single face-off. So what you'll notice is Chase wins that top rail and immediately starts going to a defensive exit. Now, he's not moving the ball. He's moving his body into his opponent. White goes for a frontside shovel. Ooh, sneaky fingers. We don't want to see that. But he goes into this defensive exit, stays low, stays low, stays low, and puts his shoulder in between his opponent and the ball, making it very hard for his opponent to land a counter. As you can see here, White's hands always extended down his shaft because he's not able to pull Chase off the ball here. Chase puts the ball into the front, making it very hard for his opposition to get a piece of him. Might have been a little bit of a push there, but Penn State winds up coming up with this ball. Here's another great example of just keeping pressure over the top of the ball on your exits. So right here you'll see blue wins that top rail and immediately goes into the defensive exit, but he's keeping his right hand on the ground the entire time, smashing his fist through the crust of the earth, dragging that ball away from his opposition. So right here, White goes for that shovel counter. Blue feels out that pressure, pulls around in an almost 270-degree exit, keeping his weight down. Then he pops the ball up once he feels his opponent is on his back, making sure that ball is shielded at all times. So here's a good example why we don't want to throw our left hand upfield. So White gets bottom rail advantage here, meaning when he pushes down the line, his bottom rail is touching the ball better than Blue has a top rail advantage. So when Blue throws his left hand, he actually splits the midline, which makes it impossible for him to land a clean counter. So he goes for that reach, and White's able to pull that ball to the left side, getting that clean fast break. By the way, what a great flip when he feels pressure coming in from both sides, understanding that there's an open man. Excellent face-off by White here. So this might be my favorite face-off of the season. Chase wins the top rail battle. He's throwing his left hand, which I don't love, but he feels out the pressure, puts his man on his backside, and throws to nobody as far as he's concerned. He's using the eyes on the back of his head. Let's watch this again. Initial impact, both guys touch top rail. Chase starts throwing his left hand, which is just his MO. He's going to work you off the top of the ball, knowing that his wings are coming in. When you play this kind of game at the Faceoff X, you have to know where the wings are. So he's using his peripherals to identify where danger is coming from. White jerseys, easy to see in your peripherals. He earns the top rail, starts going defensive to put himself to space, as it's worked a couple times before, but White sniffs it out and puts himself on his backside. Chase feels out that danger and puts his numbers on his opponent's back. So he's safe because he's put the turtle shell up. Now he feels that White is closing in, doesn't see any blue. That means blue's behind him, and he just throws it over his shoulder. This is absolute cinema for a face-off man to watch. Incredible. Really high-level stuff. Jedi-level mechanics right here. Puts the ball to space. Nobody can leave the box because no one has possession. Easy pickup for blue. One of the best face-offs you'll see all season. Let's talk about why dropping your foot back is so detrimental. So right here, what you'll notice is blue goes for a frontside shovel, and White is able to exit with a TTL. It's a through-the-legs exit. Watch. On impact, both athletes kick their feet back. Blue identifies that he's lost the top rail advantage off the whistle, kicks his foot back, and it doesn't have the time to get to his opponent's hands because he has to bring his right foot back underneath him to be successful on that counter. White feels out that pressure, goes TTL, which is the exact answer for any frontside shovel, puts his opponent on his back like a pro, and now goes for a one-handed ground ball. Now, guys, one-handed ground ball, I don't care what your second grade coach has to say about it, are absolutely imperative in the face-off man tool chest. It allows you to extend and get ground balls out, also putting your hand behind you, allowing your opponent to chop at your glove rather than the hand you're picking up the ground ball with. All right, so we have a great example right here why you never give up on the play when you're facing off. So blue loses this face-off, white goes out the back, but watch, he hunts his opponent's backhand. When you force your opponent into space and your attack's eventually going to come out of the box, you're going to add unnecessary pressure, 2-on-1, so to speak. White makes a bad decision, throws the ball to open space. Blue's able to pick up this ball in the secondary. Now let's go back and watch this again. That attackman should be pushing out as soon as he sees his opposition's about to pick up the ball. White earns the top rail. Blue blocks with his body, forcing his opponent at the back. Now the counter fails, which is totally fine, but he's already got his feet underneath him. So now it's just a ground ball. He hacks at that bottom hand. Good old-fashioned fundamentals you learn in first grade. But now the ball's too loose. He feels the pressure of the attack, and Chase stays on the back of his opposition, not letting him curve upfield. He's run out of space. He hucks the ball, and this is why we never give up on a ground ball play. Now, right here, we have a nearly identical face-off. White wins the top rail. Blue goes for that frontside shovel. But watch them jockey for position to that ground ball. White earns that top rail, and he does that rollout exit onto the backside, putting the ball away from his opposition. Now, blue keeps his feet a little bit better and at least puts himself in a better position for that ground ball here. Now watch, they're both shoulder to shoulder with the ball. White and blue are fighting with their elbows to earn that top advantage towards the ball, because if there's a push here, who's ever elbows in front is going to get the push call. So watch, White's fight, jockeying for that position. Now, this is what he didn't do on the last faceoff. The last faceoff, he tried to J-curve upfield. You should always keep running the direction you're going. Let that momentum carry you. He's running. He sees the attack come up, and his goalie's going to the outside as an outlet, as a fourth man to pick that pass up. Big difference from that last faceoff where they learned on that turnover. Exactly what you want to be doing when you're going to the backside rather than turning upfield and having to cover all that extra space. So here's an example where we like to see our guys get into a counter a little bit sooner. Blue clearly he's turned the corner, he's owning that top rail, and White's just trying to hold his own. He should be bailing and getting to his feet and attacking his opponent's hands because his opponent is sprawled out. Once again, let's take a look here. White owns that top rail initial matchup. Blue throws his left hand, peeling him off the ball, and starts peeling to his opponent's left side. Now, in this situation, White's lost this face-off. There's no way he's going to get this ball back unless he brings his feet back underneath him and shoots his opponent's hands, because clearly Blue is completely sprawled out. His legs are locked up. He's over the top of the ball, and he's just primed for a counter situation. Now, rather than going for that counter, White just wants to fight it out, goes for the meathead approach, which I can appreciate, but it's not necessarily the right move to do. Waiting. The wings are coming in the whole time, right? So whoever hikes this ball to their teammates is going to win this face-off. Blue earns that top rail, sees where White is, two White in front. Well, I'm going backwards every time. Throws the ball to space because he knows that his teammates are behind him, and that's a win for Blue here. What we'd really like to see is White bailing earlier, attacking those hands. Even if he doesn't get the ball clean, he's not going to give his opponent this clean hike to his teammates for an easy ground ball situation here. So this is a little bit more in line with what we want to see. Off the initial impact, White is quick to throw that frontside shovel counter. Now, the ball's on the ground. When the ball's on the ground, anything can happen. Watching this in slow-mo here. Blue's been owning that top rail, so White opts to either tap the ball and go right into a shovel counter. Blue hits top rail. White goes, this isn't working. Immediately feeds into that frontside shovel, pulling that ball out from underneath his opponent's hands, even though he drops to a knee. Now this ball's loose. The face-off is over. This is just two midfielders now. Blue is now putting his body in between the man and the ball, which is an excellent recovery in a situation where you're in a distressed position. His opponent is now on his back, and now he's just going for a a short ground ball here. White's doing a nice job of mucking it up, but now the wings are in, right? You have 4 seconds. When people let that ball kind of pop out at practice and, you have 15, 20 yards to pick up that ground ball, that's not like a college game. You have 3 seconds, 4 seconds max before you're getting hacked to death. Blue comes up with a tough ground ball here, and it's game on. So again, another reason why we should be countering a little bit quicker. If you watch White's head, his head is completely getting peeled off the ball. You're watching the plastic bend backwards just on the power of the strength of Blue here. So what we would like to see, once again going back and looking at this slow motion, both athletes impact. White is getting peeled off the ball. Again, that's tan stick, white jersey. He's getting peeled off the ball because he's not rotating at the same speed as Blue. This is a little bit of an old school, kind of the MLL way of facing off, or a knee down way of facing off, where guys would just spin, 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 spin. Once you outspun your opponent, he would kind of fall down like you're seeing right here, and you'd basically push his stick off the ball. White should be bailing on this face-off. As you can clearly see, there's none of the ball is in his stick right now. White should be bailing on the draw, attacking the hands of Blue, so Blue doesn't have time to make a clean exit. White should be getting his feet underneath himself and attacking that right hand, because in order for Blue to get out of this face-off, he's going to have to lift up his left hand. It's a series of motions. Lift up his left hand, get his feet out from underneath him, and that's where White can sink his teeth in on this exit. But instead, now they're going counterclockwise. This is a mess. This is a time chew. And when you're Penn State and you're up by 2, you're fine with this. You're totally okay. White needs to get goals back. Time is a factor. Look at that plastic bending on White's head as Blue is just turning that corner, working him off the ball. Really pay attention to that plastic there. Okay, so now White stands up, but look, he pull cues his stick up. There's nothing to respect there. It's the hand that does the counter work. Your stick is just kind of looking like a hockey stick. There's nothing you can do. That gives Blue all the time in the world to put his opponent on the back, pop the ball up, and it's game on. All right, guys, this is one we're not going to need a slow motion on. But White wins the top rail battle here and goes for that rollout exit, puts the ball behind him. Excellent job. Pops behind him, picks it up. But this is where he makes the mistake. Instead of lifting his head up and getting a flip, he goes for a very traditional shoulder pass. This is where he gets in trouble. Because he's popped the ball so far backwards and is running back towards his goalie, those attackmen in that box are able to pressure out and cause the turnover. So as soon as he picks up this ball here, he should be flipping to that defenseman on his right side or the wing on his right side. Obviously, this is Monday night quarterbacking, but it's super important to be aware of where your teammates are when you're picking up that ground ball. Now, we talked about attacking hands earlier in a couple of clips. This is what we want to see here. White attacks the hands immediately off the face-off. Now, this is no, Pulitzer Prize-winning face-off. This is a car crash. It's a muck show. But with how fast wings come in, 3 to 4 seconds max, you give yourself plenty of time if you just put that ball on the ground. You give yourself an opportunity that was 100% a face-off loss to making it a 50-50. And we'll take those odds any day. So if you're losing the face-offs, attack those hands. Don't kick your feet. Attack the hands. Swallow the ego. Attack the hands, and good things will happen. So again, just talking about quickly transitioning to that second phase, which is our counters. Clearly here, White wins the top rail battle. Blue identifies it, starts hunting hands. Again, he can sit there and just wait for his opposition to lift his left hand. So what we'll see here in the slow motion clip, Blue loses that top rail battle. White stays both hands on the ground, both hands kick back. So he's won the clamp, but he's in a vulnerable position because he has to lift his hands and get his feet back underneath him. Blue is sitting here waiting for that opportunity just to sink his teeth in on that counter. Let's watch here. Both athletes impact. White's got top rail. Blue bails, attacks, is sitting, because that opponent has to lift his left hand. He connects, pulls, disrupts the ball. And again, the Wings make a great play here, but he gets that ball out that he was assured to lose if he didn't attack those hands. These are the difference makers in Division 1, 2, 3, high school, youth. This is what the greats do. They attack the hands rather than kick their feet back and sit in the mud. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week on FOverwatch, presented by the Faceoff Academy.